been exploring the financial nation do not understand. Welcome to another Cold Fusion video. I'm going to start this video off with a quote. Henry Ford once said, "It is well enough that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." I quote this because it encapsulates the fact that the contents of this video may be unsettling compared to the videos that I normally make. I still feel compelled to make this video because I've been exploring the financial world for the last 4 years and it's definitely given me a more complete view of the world. I want to share some of what I've come across with you guys. I'm also going to do a video about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin in the future, and to understand why Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies may continue to rise, it's critical that you understand the contents of this video. I hope that you find this topic interesting and that it inspires you to do your own research afterwards. Now, with that said, let's begin. So who controls all of our money? It's a simple question. We all know that you and I don't control it. Our employees don't control it. The companies that they work for don't control it. So who does? Where does it even come from in the first place? I'll give you a hint. Money does not come from the government. It's a seemingly obvious question that's never asked or taught in schools for some reason. Unfortunately, most people's lives are basically dedicated to money. It's all people ever worry about or talk about. We go to school to learn basically how to go to university, to learn the skills to get a good job so that we can trade hours of our lives, all for this thing called money. So why wouldn't you want to know where money comes from and who issues it? Today, in this very special video, you're about to find out the answer to the question of who controls all of our money. People today can tell something isn't quite right with our financial system, but they just can't put their finger on it. Some people think it's the failure of government, others think that it's the failure of capitalism itself. This video should clarify a few things. The year is 1694. And England had just suffered through 50 years of war. Exhausted, the English government needed loans to fund their political means. Brainchild of Scottish banker William Paterson, it was decided that a privately owned bank that could issue the money to the government out of thin air was to be the solution. This was the very first modern central banking system in the world. Central banking is more influential than laws, governments, and politicians, but strangely not the focus of the general public. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and after 2 failed attempts, a group of bankers wanted to put a central bank in the United States of America. It was December of 1910, and Senator Nelson Aldrich boarded a private train car in New York with 6 others. The 6 were not to be spotted by any news reporters to avoid questions. Their destination? Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia. The meeting went for 9 days, and from that, they created the Federal Reserve System. This is all documented and a matter of public record. Some of them went on to write about the meetings in their personal biographies. Here's a quote from Frank Vanderlip, president of the National City Bank of New York, February 9th, 1935, in the Saturday Evening Post.
"I was as secretive, indeed as furtive as any conspirator. Discovery, we knew, simply must not happen, or else all our time and effort would be wasted. If it were to be exposed that our particular group had got together and written a banking bill, that bill would have no chance whatever of passage by Congress."
The 6 men that Nelson Aldrich brought together included the head of banks, branches of government such as the Treasury, and some of the richest people on earth at the time. To give you an idea of how rich they were, in 1910, these 6 men represented a quarter of the world's worth. The bankers told the American public that the purpose of the system was to stabilize the economy and to stop the grip of the Wall Street banks over America. The problem was, the guys that wrote the bill were the very same people they said they'd stop. If they succeeded, it will give a small group of men the ability to create money from nothing and loan it to the American government with interest. So why was it done in secret? Because the American people didn't want a central bank. Back then, unlike today, people knew what central banks were and understood them very well. Everywhere a central bank went, there'll be wealth inequality, wild swings between economic booms and busts, and after each bust, those at the top of society mysteriously came out richer while everyone else got poorer. Europe was the running example of this at the time. The Federal Reserve was originally drafted as the Aldrich Bill, but when it came into Congress, they recognized Senator Aldrich's name and smelt a rat. The bankers needed better cover. They decided to send two millionaire friends to carry the bill to quell the suspicions of Congress and renamed it the Federal Reserve Act. Next, in a textbook lesson of deceit, the bankers set out to fool the American people through disinformation. In the newspapers of the day, the bankers screamed and protested against the new Federal Reserve Bill. It would ruin the banks, they exclaimed. The average person read the protesting articles of the bankers and thought to themselves, if the bankers hate it, it must be good. And then they ended up unknowingly supporting a Trojan horse. The bankers also fooled Congress by putting clauses in the bill that limited their power only to remove them once the bill was passed. A double head fake of the public and Congress was all it took. The bill was passed on December 23, 1913, while most of Congress was out on holiday. And with that, a small group had complete monopoly over the issuing and creation of American money. Today, the Federal Reserve is the most powerful entity in the United States, and they're not ashamed to admit it either. Here's former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan.
What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. What the relationships are don't frankly matter.
In addition to this, it seems that the Fed can't even be touched by investigating parties.
So I'm asking you if your agency has, in fact, according to Bloomberg, extended $9 trillion in credit, which, by the way, works out to $30,000 for every single man, woman, and child in this country. I'd like to know, if you're not responsible for investigating that, who is?
We have responsibility for the Federal Reserve's programs and operations, audits, to conduct audits and investigations in that area. In terms of who's responsible for investigating, would you mind repeating the question one more time?
Mr. Chairman, my time is up, but I have to tell you honestly, I am shocked to find out that nobody at the Federal Reserve, including the Inspector General, is keeping track of this.
So what does all of this have to do with me, you might be asking? I don't even live in the US. Well, two reasons. Number one, the central banking model from the Bank of England and the United States has now been put in all countries, and even consolidated power in parts of Europe as the European Central Bank, or ECB. This unites separate countries under one economic policy. The only places in the world that don't have central banks are North Korea, Iran, and Cuba. In 2000, this list suspiciously included Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya. And number two, since the end of World War II, the US dollar has been the reserve currency of the world. This means that all central banks hold US dollars in their reserves. In other words, all other currencies are backed by the US dollar. This directly links your country to the Federal Reserve's monetary policy in America. More on this later. When the post-World War II monetary system, called the Bretton Woods system, was created, all US dollars were backed by and exchangeable for gold. A byproduct of this was that currencies used to be very stable in relation to each other.
Before that, all the countries, the exchange rates were fixed, and year after year you could predict what prices were going to be. You could start a business elsewhere, know if you were, you could calculate profits. Business was much, much easier before floating exchange rates.
Unfortunately, in 1971, due to a falling US dollar, international capital flows into gold, and the funding of the Vietnam War, President Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
Now the dollar was floating and backed by nothing, and has been ever since. Okay, so let's think a little. If the US dollar is backed by nothing, but the world's reserves are backed by the US dollar, intrinsically, since 1971, doesn't this mean that all currencies are now backed by nothing tangible, only trust in the American government? Well, this is correct. Money backed by nothing is known as fiat currency. Fiat in Latin means let it be done. In other words, the government says it is money, so it is. A consequence to having money backed by nothing is that whenever the Federal Reserve creates money, it dilutes the currency supply of all other nations because their reserves are backed by the US dollar. all countries' reserves are worth less each time money is created. In the past few years, the Federal Reserve has printed trillions of dollars, and countries like Russia and China have noticed this. As a reaction to the money printing, these countries have been selling US dollar reserves and buying gold over the same period. But wait a second. Some of you clever thinkers out there may have asked yourself, if every currency on Earth is backed by nothing, how am I able to pay for things? Well, as it turns out, the whole economic system today is running because it's backed by faith. Faith that you can exchange your unit of currency for goods or services. In a way, part of that faith comes from the fact that not many people actually know where money comes from. We're about to find that out in this video. A central bank is essentially the entity that manages a nation's money supply, and it can loan money to the government with interest. In the United States and most other countries, it works like this. When the government needs more money than they receive from taxes, they ask the Treasury Department for money. The Treasury then receives an IOU or bond from the government. The Treasury, through the banks, gives this IOU to the Federal Reserve. The Fed then writes a check for this IOU and hands it to the banks. At this exchange at the banks, money is created and it can be used to pay government bills. So hang on, where does the Fed get the money to be able to write this check? They get this money from nowhere. They literally just invent it. Here's a quote from the Boston Federal Reserve. Quote, "When you or I write a check, there must be sufficient funds in our account to cover the check. But when the Federal Reserve writes a check, there is no bank deposit on which that check is drawn. When the Federal Reserve writes a check, it is creating money." End quote. So in essence, they're writing a check and creating money from an account that has no money in it. The money the Federal Reserve creates can be used as legal tender to buy things and eventually makes its way into the real economy. If you and I did that, we'd go to jail for fraud, but they can do it because they invented the system. This is the same system used throughout the world today. Another part of this money creation happens at the commercial bank side. Every time you take out a loan to buy a house, car or TV, banks create money out of nowhere to give you this loan, and you still have to pay interest on it. And don't just believe me when I say that. Hear it for yourself from the horse's mouth, the people running the system. Graham Towers, former governor of the Central Bank of Canada, states, quote, "Each and every time a bank makes a loan, new credit is created, new deposits, brand new money." End quote. Paul Tucker, Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, quote, "Banks extend credit by simply increasing the borrowing customer's current account." End quote. So what they're basically saying is that each time the bank makes a loan, the bank doesn't use other people's deposited money and give it to you. It creates new money. In modern times, this means typing digits into a computer. 97% of all money is digitally created like this. Only 3% is the physical cash and coins that we carry. Another crazy thing that commercial banks can do is lend out 10 times more money than they actually have in reserves. This is called fractional reserve lending. So who wrote this ridiculous system into law? For the United States, it was part of the Federal Reserve System drafted in 1913. And again, this is the same system used throughout the world. So what's the issue? Why should I even care? Well, there's consequences. When more loans are given out, more money is created and the rest of the money in circulation is worth less and less as the years go on. This is known as inflation. In a way, inflation is basically a tax that we all pay for the fraud of money printing. Easy money now in exchange for tax on our future generations. It's also why in 1950, a house used to cost $7,000 and a car, $2,000. Obviously, this is no longer the same today. Things will always keep getting more expensive as long as this system is in place. This was actually kind of okay because wages grew in relation to inflation until about 2008. Why this stopped happening is a story for another day. So things are already pretty crazy, but they get even crazier. The more you look into it, the stranger things become. So remember how we were talking about how central banks and commercial banks can create money out of nothing? This procedure actually does create something. It creates debt. Let me explain. When you take out a loan, it's written down as an asset in the bank as a negative form, kind of like a negative value of money, or otherwise known as debt. Under this system, debt is actually money. And again, don't just listen to me. Mariner Eccles, former governor of the Federal Reserve, states, quote, "If there were no debts in our money system, there wouldn't be any money." So in essence, instead of gold being the backbone of our economy, it's now debt. The system we're under now is sometimes referred to as the debt-based monetary system. It requires that debt always grows. Countries and people must become deeper in debt so that there's more money in the system, because remember, debt is money. If people and governments stop borrowing money and pay back loans, the debt doesn't grow, the money supply shrinks, and the system falters. It truly is bizarre, but we all live in this system each and every day. The Federal Reserve and other central banks control money by adjusting its supply and how much it costs to borrow money, otherwise known as the interest rate. With these tools, and as a consequence of human group psychology, central banks can create booms and busts in the economy at will and also distort and derail an economy by messing with it. Let's take a quick case study. In the year 2000, Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan cut interest rates to 1%. He did this to try and fight off a recession from the dot-com bubble and encourage people to borrow money. When interest rates are low, if you're borrowing money, you save a whole lot on repaying mortgages. Since a 1% interest rate hadn't been seen at the time since the 1950s, it was a pretty good deal. Greenspan's idea was that he could create a wealth effect. People would start to buy houses, the prices would go up, and then people would feel wealthier and spend more money in the economy and stimulate it. Greenspan sure succeeded in getting people to borrow money to buy houses, but they borrowed too much, and the result was the 2008 housing bubble. This is a prime example of what can go wrong when central banks mess with an economy. Yes, corrupt bankers have a lot to answer for in their role in the 2008 crisis, but the Fed has a far bigger long-term impact. Even crazier things are happening in Japan. Their central bank is buying so many stocks that they were the #1 buyer of Japanese stocks in 2016. So they have part ownership of companies with money that they created from nothing. So in essence, it is the central banks that control our economy and the central and commercial banking system together that control all of our money. The difference is, central banks can create money at will, while commercial banks need loans to create money. To give you an idea of people's views of central banking when people actually knew what central banks were, here's a couple of examples. In 1881, then President of the United States, James Garfield, states, quote, "Whoever controls the volume of money in any country is absolute master of all industry and commerce, and when you realize that the entire system is very easily controlled one way or another by a few powerful men at the top, you will not have to be told how periods of inflation and depression originate." End quote. Benjamin Franklin in his autobiography stated that the prime reason for the American War of Independence was a battle over who actually controlled and issued the money of the new colonies. Moving on to more modern times, Nobel Prize-winning economist Milton Friedman states, quote, "The Federal Reserve definitely caused the Great Depression by contracting the amount of currency in circulation by 1/3 from 1929 to 1933, end quote. So with all of this being said, some would argue that central banks are not inherently a bad thing. They just need to be part of the government and not privately owned. The government should be able to issue its own money for the benefit of the people and shouldn't have to pay a massive interest on its own debt. This was tried at least once in the United States by President Lincoln, who stated this,
The government should create, issue, and circulate all the currency and credit needed to satisfy the spending power of the government and the buying power of consumers. By the adoption of these principles, the taxpayers will be saved immense sums of interest. Money will cease to be master and become the servant of humanity.
Abraham Lincoln then issued his own government money. It was called the greenback. No further comments on that story. So I think we'll end the video there. There's so much more that I could cover about what central banking decisions led to what revolutions around the world. Pretty much when you look at it, all revolutions and all wars, when you dig through everything, it all boils down to money. I could also have talked about the new global movement of those who are rejecting the debt-based economic system. People are starting to move their currency into gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Anyways, if you've watched the whole way through this video, congratulations. You're one of the few who have found out the hidden truths about who controls all of our money. I think I've only met about 4 people in real life that have been aware of the debt-based economic system. It's strangely unknown, but is as true as anything. I even showed you all of the quotes of the bankers and the former heads of the Federal Reserve telling you from their own mouths how the system actually works. If this is your first time hearing all of this, I encourage you, as I said before, to do your own research, and then you'll start to see the bigger picture, and the world today will make a whole lot more sense. If you want some good starting resources, I recommend Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money series. It's here on YouTube, and I'll leave a link below. Mike is a very knowledgeable guy, and I've had some great long conversations with him about the economy. If you are into reading and you want to know more about the history of the Federal Reserve, I recommend the book by G. Edward Griffin.
Alright fam, so as you guys saw, I mean, that is wild, right? It's just like one of those situations where you got to understand where money is actually coming from. And so this is what I do at night though. I mean, when I'm going to bed, you know, I'm watching good things like that. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in life, the monetary system, everything like that, because it's literally about to fail. I mean, there's a coin shortage going on right now. You know, the only ones that are going to actually sustain are going to be like the big ones, like the Bank of America, right? So like, what are the biggest banks? Right here. So you got to be careful about where your money is. All right, so like here's like the biggest banks right here, like JP Morgan. They got like something like 60 trillion in it, right? Like in terms of like the debt ratio, their assets are 2. So you got to really look at these things closer. So like their actual assets are 2 trillion, but that's probably like their cash reserves. Bank of America 2 trillion, but when you look at the debt ratio, it's upwards of like 60 to 80 trillion. So people aren't going to be able to pay back these debts, right? And so that's why in the crypto world, if you go to getcoinsnow.com, that's why you're seeing things, or I'm sorry, coinmarketcap.com. That's why you're seeing the crypto market boom, and I've been talking about it a lot lately, right? Over the last, it's only been, I think I've been talking about it for 2 months or so. And as you can see right here, back when I started talking about it, there was $260 billion in the cryptocurrency market, and now there is 320 billion. It's only been 2 months. And I've been looking at this and researching money and seeing what's going to happen with the economy, with the inflation and how much trillions of dollars they've been printing, right? Because I'm like, dude, there's no way they could just keep printing trillions of dollars. And unfortunately, the Federal Reserve, they can just keep doing it until it busts, right? Until our gallons of milk goes up to like $10, right? You know, even though you guys shouldn't really be drinking milk, that's for baby cows. It's like my joke, but get some almond milk next time. But the other thing is, I've been telling you to invest into Ethereum if you guys wanted some passive gains, because even gold and silver. So a lot of people, you know, if you look at like gold prices right now, like they're booming. Okay, this is like the highest that it's been in a long time, 1800. Like it's insane. Like it used to be down, I think there's a chart I could show you, but the gold and silver, let me look at that real quick. We'll go here, gold price, silver chart right there. So as you can see, it's just been booming. Okay, it went like up almost to 2000. And literally, it was only, I mean, not that long ago. Look, we're looking back in a month ago. Okay, just a month ago. Look at how much down it was just in comparison, right? So, like, it's like, and this is a big time difference for gold. Okay, and that's, so people are investing into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and gold. That's what I want you guys to start paying attention. Bitcoin and Ethereum and cryptocurrency in general. Gold and silver, right? But here's my thing about silver. So like, buy gold and silver, right? So buy gold and silver. Like, here's what I want you guys to understand and why we're in a totally new world. Okay, so imagine you go to one of these places and you buy some silver bars, okay, and you're looking at this silver bar right here. Let's go to a good one, a good size one. Actually, we can look at the gold. Is what's funny, because I mean, you can go to a gold one and it'd be like a tiny little coin. But imagine, like, okay, so when these central banks and the overinflation happens, okay, and the central banks keep the things flowing or whatever, but It's gonna like all kind of, they're all buying it. If you really go look deep into it, China's buying up the gold and silver. All the banks, the central banks are buying up the gold and silver. They're gonna try to bring back the gold standard. But what is this gonna do? Like, how are you gonna trade like, how are you gonna trade the gold and the silver for anything, right? It's not. There's nothing going on there. Like, what are you gonna do? Cut off chunks of it and tell your friend that it weighs a certain particular ounce? So silver and gold isn't like, it's good if you're like a creator of it, right? If you're like an actual creator, like look at these coins right here are $2,000 for a coin. But what are you gonna do? You're gonna buy like a loaf of bread and like chop off a little edge of it or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna be able to use this silver and gold. You're only gonna be able to use it is if you have a factory that's, you know, actually using these things, right? If you're like, you know, creating solar panels or creating cars that need silver and gold or whatever, right? And to the actual use caseage of it. So it doesn't really make any sense to have a gold or silver, right? So, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm buying gold and silver, I'm set. Like, what are you gonna do with it? You know what I'm saying? So you guys got to realize, like, cryptocurrency is the only thing that's going to handle this inflation. And so like Ethereum right here, people are building apps on top of Ethereum, okay? They're actually building apps, they're building sources, they're building smart contracts, they're building things like where, and like I told you we needed to invest in this at 200. I've been telling you guys to invest in it. It's at 317. It's going to go up to about 350 to 400 the next couple of days, or the next couple of weeks. But I've been telling you guys to invest into this, and they're building everything on top of it, smart contracts. And I was telling you, all the real estate loans, all the car loans, all the you know, investments, everything is going to be built on top of Ethereum. There's literally more people working on Ethereum right now than any other company, Google, Microsoft, all of them, right? So you guys need to start really researching this and understanding that the gold and silver thing isn't going to save you for nothing. All right, it's really the Ethereum that's going to be the whole key to the element. And you guys haven't seen, like with Sales Vision, we've been building and getting ready for this for I mean, I've been doing this for about 3 years, but a lot of you guys don't know this. At salesvision.com, we've been creating every single thing in the back end for this, okay? So in terms of the coins, let me show you guys this really quick. So the coins right here, we've been building the crypto coins for a while. So as you can see, these are what our coin's gonna look like, right? And so we've already been on that mode, but right now we're just all into fiat. Okay, we're in the fiat world. All right, so we are literally just all about fiat. And then right here, as you can see, I don't know if you've seen our latest stuff, but I have all the online income producing activities. You got to learn how to make money on the internet. Otherwise, all the robots, all the things that are happening, you guys are seeing it. I mean, there's really no way to make money anymore. So we have games, we have all kinds of fun, exciting stuff, but there's got to be a value to the coin, right? To the reality. And even in our affiliate center, you guys haven't seen it, we have all of the back end right here, where in your transfers right here, you can, when you're transferring your commissions out, we have a missions vault, and you can transfer the other affiliates. So we're building a whole banking system on the back end of here as well. And if there's no value behind the currency, then what is the value, right? So the value behind our currency, right, is an actual software, an actual platform, right? We have actual sales funnels. We have everything you need for the future, right? That's the exciting part about it. You know what I'm saying? And so, and it's not even done yet, you know, and all of what I'm telling you guys right now, it's like we have all these funnels for you guys. We have everything that you need to start succeeding online and build an online business, because that's really the only thing you're going to be able to do in the future is fiat. I mean, you can't even go and use cash anymore at places. They're making you use your debit cards. So you got to learn how to use digital only, right? And the faster you can do that, the better. But we're going to be building a lot of things on top of Ethereum, okay? So in the future, it's going to be all about Ethereum, right? And so we have all this stuff, right? We have everything, you know, already ahead of the game, and we are already ready for this. We've been ready for this crypto world. But at the same time, we're still fiat, like we're playing both sides of the thing, right? So our banking is Bank of America, so we know that Bank of America is not going to go down anytime soon. We also have other banks that are merchanting. But the commercial banks, you know, the small banks, they're not going to handle this next level of the coin shortage. So they're all going to start going down, and it's all going to be going into cryptocurrency and Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum especially with the smart contracts. Now, as far as if you guys go to getcoinsnow.com, what you guys should invest in right now, I'll tell you there's the 3 coins that you want to invest in right here. If you go to getcoinsnow.com, you guys will get a $10 for free, and I'll get $10 if you sign up with the link. I don't really care. I'm just making sure that you guys understand where this future is going because it's a big deal. All right, so like I said, I wouldn't keep that much storage in here. I got about $6,000-$7,000 in there. I'd take most of it out. But the latest one that's going to be coming up, now here's a huge thing that I just found out today. Okay, so the latest one that's going to be coming up hard is XRP. All right, so when you guys come in here, I want you guys to buy Ethereum. Okay, because that's still going to go up. Ethereum's still going to be flowing up. It's going to go up, like I said, to $1,000 over the next 6 months minimum. It might even go even higher, 5,000, 10,000, crazy numbers. But you're gonna 10x your money no matter what you put in there. Now, the crazy thing I found out today is XRP, and I've been knowing about this, but XRP is this coin was created for banks. Okay, so banks are all about, and you can see the 64% buy. People are buying this up right now because they know what's going on. And Warren Buffett just invested $800 million into Bank of America, and he's tied into the Ripple and the XRP. Okay, so this is the latest that I've been finding out. I've been doing a lot of research on this a lot lately. And Ethereum, and then also Chainlink is going to be hanging around, and this Chainlink's got another potential to go to 1,000 over the next 6 to 12 months. So you're talking about like gains of 1,000%, okay, on Chainlink. So those are kind of the main 3. But as you can see, these people are buying this up because they know what's going on. And so I just have a little bit of money in all these. I got like 2,000 in Link right here. But what you do is you take the amount of coins. So this is 292 coins times the pricing of it, right? So then it's equivalent to, you know, the pricing of $2,000 right there. Same goes with Ethereum, same goes with anything else. You're buying the actual coins on here. And this is how I pay my assistants and things like that overseas as well as with cryptocurrency. So I don't got to use PayPal, I don't got to use nothing. Speaking of PayPal, they just adopted cryptocurrency as well. They're going to start using cryptocurrency, but most of the banks are going to be using XRP. That's the insider thing that I found out lately. A lot of people don't like XRP in the cryptocurrency space because they know that banks are going to be behind it. And a lot of people don't like Coinbase because there is banks behind it like JP Morgan. Now, you got to play the game to where you're not fully against the banks, and you're not fully you're not against them, but you're also with them. You want to play the middle ground. Like, look, you guys just realize that we're just kind of tiny little puppets playing this game. You don't want to be somebody that wants to mess up what's going on from the top. Like, you know, I feel like they tried to make this world run right from the top in the beginning, but then evil kind of took over, you know, and a lot of just, you know, monetary evil kind of happened. So that's what I want you guys to understand with what's going on, is that now we're coming back to a full cycle where the money and power needs to go back into the people's hands, because as you saw in that video that you just watched, and if you haven't seen that video we just watched together, make sure you go watch it. You're seeing that the money is just inflating so high that it's just about to end. I mean, it's just they got to do something about it. They're even talking about restarting the entire economy, wiping your debts and everything, and just restarting. And so we'll see what happens. The main thing is, with anybody that knows what you guys just watched and seeing how inflation's going, you're watching gold, silver rise. You know, a lot of people are thinking that, you know, gold and silver, I mean, you're going to make some money on buying gold and silver, but how are you going to use it? You know, really what you need to do is understand what's happening in this world, in the crypto world, because this blockchain is really what's going to be running the world. And as you can see right here, I mean, when people knew this was going to happen in 2018, 17, 18, when I was in this big time, and I've been messing with crypto for about 4 years, you know, Ethereum and everything else was up way higher. So there, like 815 billion was in this marketplace. But now that the banks just adopted it, literally banks just adopted cryptocurrency. So now you can store your cryptocurrency with banks. PayPal just adopted, I'm talking about within the last 2-3 days. So you guys are hearing about this stuff early, all right? And it's about to hit hard. Like, when banks start throwing in their extra trillion, right? A bank could throw in $1 trillion in this tomorrow. They just haven't wanted to adopt this. Why would the central banks want to adopt cryptocurrency, right? Whenever it's not necessary. All they got to do, all banks, you guys just saw, all banks got to do is just print money. Okay, why the heck would they even want to mess with cryptocurrency? Well, now that they've printed so much money and it's so overinflated, now there's a coin shortage going on in the world. Now they have to figure out a new way. Okay, so that's why banks are adopting it. Plus, they want to get our money. They want us to put our cryptocurrency in their banking system, right? So they can still remain the power and control. Which, I mean, I can't imagine being at the top, you know, controlling everybody. But at the same time, when you look at some things like hunger and poverty, and you realize that only 12% of Apple's wealth could, you know, literally take care of all the hunger in the world, and you find these children who are dying of starvation and all this stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, if I was running the world, I would totally have it way different. I don't know why these people in power would want it to be the way it is, but that's why I'm dedicated so hard to, you know, stack your chips up with sales vision and start. You'll see this new sales video that's coming out. It's about to make you guys so much money, it's not even funny. And this new compensation plan, and like I said, we're making our own coin down the road, all that stuff. I mean, you're gonna be like, we'll literally have our own coin on this marketplace, and it's gonna be worth a lot of money. As you can see, some of these coins are worth 35 billion is in Ethereum. Tether's 10 billion. So I know where we're going in the future. It's just, you got to play the game. I mean, we're just little puppets right now, man. We can't, like, the government can print money all they want, but if we printed money out of a printer, we go to jail. So you got to realize, like, what kind of game we're playing here. And at the same time, we're not trying to go against them either. I'm not one that goes against the, you know, grain. I just want to, like, see what the best way we can all start winning together. So other than that, fam, watch the beginning of this video again, and just comment below if you guys have any questions. I just wanted to hit you guys up with this late video because it's a big deal of what's going on right now in this world. And I want to make sure that you guys were taken care of and understand what's going on right now. Because at the end of the day, it's going to get bad. I mean, it's going to get bad before it's going to get good, but you guys can start putting your extra cash into cryptocurrency and start making some gains. You know, just over the last few days, I've made a few $1,000s and literally did nothing. You know, it's just, I know what's happening. I know what's going to be the future. And as you can see, I mean, Ethereum is going to be the future, like I've been talking about with the smart contracts and everything. But I'll have a whole video all about it. But just know that sales vision is going to be your foundation, your groundwork. Even the missions vault in the back end that we have, we're going to teach you guys how to start investing into real estate so you can have some passive income and everything. Because you guys see this right here. When you guys are transferring out your money, you can transfer it to the missions vault and start earning interest, okay? Which is exciting. And that's actually what a lot of these new coins are doing, which is wild. So Compound is an interest currency coin. Tezos is another one. You can take out actual loans on these coins, and it's a whole new world that's happening, and it's all going to start happening very fast because of COVID. All right, it was gonna go slower and slower, right? Take several more years, but now that COVID came, thank goodness, I'm happy about it that it's making this speed up, so then we can take back control of an economy that's right for the people. You know what I'm saying? And you know, not just all ran from the top and in the way that it was, and a lot of people are just waking up to it. So go to getcoinsnow.com and grab yourself some Ethereum and some XRP and some Chainlink. You want to get those three. Those three are the ones that you want right now, and I'll keep you guys updated. Bitcoin's going up, but I mean, at the end of the day, it could drop again hard because it just went up hard, right? So there's guys that are, and I'm in a lot of these telegrams right here. There's this telegram right here. I want to show you how crazy this is. These are called whale alerts. Okay, so every single thing in cryptocurrency, you can actually watch it and see it happening. Look at the timestamps right here. So 10:42, 10:12, 10. So like these are all within 30 minutes. This is 303 million transferred right here, 14 million transferred, 5 million transferred, 5 million transferred. So these guys with big money are transferring hardcore right now. 71 million transferred with the click of a button. Okay, like it's nuts. All right, you got 4 million transferred with a click of a button. Look at the timestamps, right? And I'll teach you guys all these little insider things. 21 million transferred. So this is big time stuff going on. 40 million transferred all day. These are just tens of millions, hundreds of millions transferred. You can watch it. You can actually see it on the blockchain of what's happening. And that's why cryptocurrency is cool too, because you can't hide any of this stuff, right? The banks can just, you know, the Federal Reserve, as you guys just saw, they can just print and print, which like I said, I think that they wanted the world to be right at a certain extent, but it just got out of hand, right? And who knows? I mean, it's not easy to run the whole damn world. And then our dollar, as you can see, all it is a loan on a loan on a loan, and it's nothing but debt. And you know, I'll just keep on showing you guys more and more stuff, but you know, as I learn what the real deal is. But I'm pretty much, I got it all kind of figured out. We were already in this world hardcore, as you guys can see, you know, over the last few years. But you know, I had days where I'm making $200,000. We're sending 85,000, making 33, 16,000, 16,000. I mean, like crazy money, right? 15,000, $212,000 I made that day right there on January 3rd. So, you know, there's big money to be made when these things are moving like this. 29,000, 29,000, I mean 21,000, like just big chunks of money moving everywhere. Okay, 60,000 right there, sold right back into my bank account. That's what's cool about Coinbase. You can literally transfer it right back into your bank account, right? And so I'm sending, receiving, and sending, receiving, you know, chunks of money. And so I know this crypto world. I've been there, done that, and it just wasn't time yet. Now it's actually time. Plus, we have the system here at Sales Vision as well, right? Which is so cool. So wait till you see the new comp plan, the new updates, the new sales video that's coming for Sales Vision. If you guys haven't seen the new income producing activities back here and the whole daily game and strategies that you guys can do, it's so freaking awesome. I'm gonna have hundreds of these income producing activities for people, and no, you will literally never have to you know, tell your people what to do. Like, and no matter what network marketing company or whatever, like they'll know exactly what to do to grow their business and to build their email list and to start crushing it. And so that's the beauty. And then here's the other thing is, so if I click on Sherry, I can see what she actually completed. So you can actually look at each other's income producing activities and find out if they actually did them. Okay, so you could, like, following up, you know, it's like loved other people's posts, email list. So if you didn't see or send an email list, you can call them out. So that's what I want you guys to understand. For those of you guys who are in Sales Vision, if you guys aren't doing these income producing activities and you do win one of the daily cash prizes and giveaways, you're not going to win. Okay, so that's kind of the whole way that it's going to be working out. We're going to be able to see exactly what you're doing and being able to track it. And so, like I said, we're going to have that daily leaderboard, the weekly leaderboard, the monthly leaderboard, all that. And you saw that already, that it's already happening right here. So let me just refresh the page. But it's like, this is all just, it's crazy because this is all just the beginning. I didn't know we were going to get into the crypto world so quickly because, like I said, COVID moved so fast, but we're already going to be moving into that. I'm going to be giving away Ethereum as cash and prizes because it's going to gain you guys even more money. So, I mean, it's just exciting. So, as you can see, all these different leaderboards. When you're on your actual phone, you swipe it with your actual hand. It's so neat. It's free to get started right now if you go to salesvision.com, but it's not going to be free here in a little bit. It's going to be, there's going to be a whole premise and steps and everything that you guys are going to see now that there's, you know, all the things are coming together. But you're going to love it, and it's going to be exciting. Look at this one. Kiss, hug, call your significant other. So there's even gratitude type things in here as well. Every single thing that I've done to literally do tens of millions of dollars online with every single business that I've ever done, it's all going to be in here, right? There's a few things in here right now that will help you crush it already. So check it out. Much to love. I just want to get you guys posted. Rewind this video. If you're live with me right now, get back and watch the beginning of this video. I see there's 47 of you rock stars watching this right now, and I just sent this out 5 minutes before I got started. So I appreciate you guys for being here. And other than that, just know that, you know, just know that at the end of the day, you guys are you're getting information that nobody in the world knows right now, okay? If you go back and if you don't watch the beginning of this video and you really start to study what I'm talking about right now, you are going to be way, 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 way behind, okay? Way behind. All right, so it's gonna all happen. All these things are gonna happen that I just said. You gotta understand it's gonna happen. This is like literally me screaming into your face, if I could, to tell you to get your family ready for this. I mean, it's a great thing for those who know what's coming. It's a terrible thing for those who don't. So that's why your family needs to be informed. And we're gonna get vocal and very loud here with Sales Vision. So wait till you see this new sales video pop out. Wait till you see everything pop out. It's about to get really wild. All right, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And, you know, ask your questions below. This video is everywhere. It's like all over different social medias. But I appreciate y'all. Just go to salesvision.com. You can get started for free right now. But other than that, if you want to wait, you can pay later. I don't really care because we're about to be loud. All right. I just want to make sure that you guys are taken care of. You understand what's happening in this world. All right. Much to love, fam. We'll talk to you very, very soon.